Depression. Technical definition. You have heard people say they have depression, right? You may have heard someone describe it as a sadness, loneliness, or a feeling of despair. However, do you know what depression really is? Depression is not just sadness, and it's not just loneliness or despair. Depression is the broad term, but there are many different types. It is more like a spectrum that has different levels and types. The most common is called major depressive disorder, and it is an illness that involves the brain, behavior, and mood. I will call it depression for the sake of the audience, but know that it is technically called major depressive disorder. People who may have some knowledge of this disorder may have heard that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance. However, the chemical imbalance is not as simple as it sounds, and it is not always a perfect science. There are chemicals in the brain called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters include different kinds of chemicals that are responsible for different functions of the brain and body. For example, the neurotransmitter most commonly mentioned in depression issues is serotonin. Serotonin is supposed to help the body with mood, appetite, sleep, memory, and learning. However, when there is an imbalance of serotonin, depression can be a result. When I say imbalance, I'm talking about the ability of neurons in the brain to use the neurotransmitters the right way. A neuron is a cell in the brain that basically like the coding of a computer. It receives messages from other neurons, interprets the message, and then sends it to other neurons. If the neurotransmitters, the chemicals in the brain, cannot be used and interpreted correctly, this causes an imbalance. There are many working parts to depression, but the basic idea is the neurons in the brain are not doing their job with neurotransmitters. The information about depression and the brain that we know today is fairly new. We did not know much about brain function and neurons until the Enlightenment and after the 18th century. Before that, depression was known as a sad state, a weakness, and many even believed it was caused by ghosts or demons. However, with the Enlightenment came a lot of scientific discovery, which is why scientists and doctors know how to figure out what causes depression, how to balance neurotransmitters, and which neurotransmitters are generally the cause of certain types of depression. I hope you want to learn more about how neurons work in my technical description.